I'd like to call to order the March 8th regular township board meeting today. And Janelle, would you take roll call, please?
Yeah, I sure will. There's no paper here. DePalma,
Here.
Back,
Here.
Bills,
Present.
Christopher,
Here.
Mazzarelli.
Here.
Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right there.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to
to
the
the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. I don't think your career is in sync. Okay. We did roll call. Okay, we have several agendas to approve. The first one I have is the February 8th regular board meeting agenda. I did not have any changes on that one. Does anybody else have any changes on it?
No. That should that be the March 8th?
No, February 8th.
Are you talking agenda or minutes?
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to approve the agenda, but it is written as approved February 8th,
Approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
March 8th,
Pardon me?
March 8th. Yes.
March 8th, yes.
It says February, March. On the
Yeah.
top, it says March. Yeah. Yes.
That's what screwed me up. Okay. Is anybody have any comments on today's agenda? If not, we need a motion to approve as submitted.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Is there a second?
Second,
Who was that?
Gina.
Tina? Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? All in favor? And I guess we need to take a roll call so everybody knows it.
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes, okay. And now comes approval of the minutes. The first one I have is for February 8th. I do not have any comments for that. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on it? If not, somebody needs to make a motion to approve them as submitted.
I will move that we approve the minutes from February 8th, Township Fire Board and Fire Board meeting minutes.
Okay, that was Gina. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
support.
Jim
One of us.
seconded it.
You.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? If not, could you take a roll call for approval on that as well?
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Back.
Yes.
Okay, next is the February 17th minutes. I did have a couple of things I just wanted to clarify for some people. If you listened into the workshop on the budgets, it's left the both meeting, but I thought I'd clarify a couple of things when you're looking at the minutes. If you're curious as to how we came about with the amount of money, we had decided some time ago that the township would hold in reserve one full year's revenue for both the township and the fire department. Since both of them run on roughly $1 million or so a year, you have $2 million of operating budget plus a year in reserve for each of them. That's how we get to about 4 to 4.8 million, depending on what the fire department's operating budget is. And so roughly 3 million of the money that's left in the township coffers is the infrastructure improvement money going forward. The other thing I thought I would clear up, I know Patty, I think you corrected a couple of small typos that was on the second page, where the mining deal that we're trying to work out with Levy would really extend to 2028 instead of 2008. And for those of you who don't know, if we pull this deal off, and we're very close to finishing it, it will save the township roughly $80,000 to $90,000 a year in gravel costs for 8 years. The other change that I thought might be of interest, and you missed it if you didn't get a chance to see it on Zoom, I did a breakdown of where the township's revenues actually come from. Only about 20.7% of the money that we operate on comes from the property tax millage that we all pay on our residences or businesses here in the township. 46.8% of it comes out of what's called constitutional revenue sharing with the state of Michigan. And the third part that we have a large bucket in that most townships don't is the money that comes from all of the projects that have been generated by the township over the last 25 years that have allowed us to build up the financial resources of the community, and that's 32.5%. That does not come from any taxpayers, millage rate, or anything that you or I are paying. It's projects where we've worked outside the normal kind of situation and put different items together, like the cell tower, the billboard lease, the Mavis building, and so forth, to come up with a significant amount of money, which is in excess of $300,000 a year. So I just wanted to take a moment to clear that up. But other than that, I have nothing else that would be corrected, I think, on the December 17th minutes. Is there anyone else that wants to comment or make any changes to those minutes?
I would say that I appreciate it. It was a 4-hour-long meeting, but I think a lot was accomplished and everybody was able to say everything that was on their mind. And I very, very much appreciated that chart that showed the breakdown of where the income is. And maybe would like to see a little bit further breakdown, but it told me how hard, where the work is coming from, where the income is coming from, and how we earn our keep here.
Okay, thank you, Gia. I appreciate it. I'm glad it was informative to you. Any other comments or questions from the board? If not, we would need a motion from somebody to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes as submitted with the slight changes that were added with the little typo to 2028, those things. So I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as submitted with the changes that were discussed.
That's Teresa. Is there a second to the minutes?
I will support that.
Gina, okay, second it. Okay, Janelle, if you could take a roll call on that one too.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Bat,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes,
Okay, this, the last set of minutes, let me get my notes here, that we need to approve tonight would be the February 22nd, which was the workshop budget meeting for the fire department. I think you all have a copy of it there. I don't see anything that's in need of correction on it, but Chief, could you just maybe outline what the differences are in this budget from some of the solutions we talked about in the past several months ago?
Well, we received our money from the SAFER grant. And I wanted to earmark that money towards pay for individuals, obviously. And we worked out the budget where we were short at the end of the year, but we got I think it was $236,000 this year for the last 3 years for SAFER money. Well, obviously we paid those people, so that money was earmarked for payroll. So I want to use that. So instead of going to 3 people starting April 1st, we're staying at 4 people, 2 at Station 1, 2 at Station 2. We're showing a deficit at the end. We were about 38 grand short, but we transferred in from basically our savings from the last 4 years, 3 years plus this year's, and we can cover it fairly easily. And we also adjusted a lot of other lines. We didn't spend as much in some lines this year, so I reduced the budget on that. And I think it's a workable budget, and we'll every year we've been putting money back in. So it shows that it's a negative, but we may be pretty close to zero at the end of the year.
Kevin?
Key things that I come away with from that budget meeting were a couple of issues. In fairness to you, Chief, you've done an outstanding job getting the cash reserves back up close to where they needed to be after they were just about completely depleted when you took over. This budget is different than what was proposed to us before, but you feel that with the adjustments you've made, within a year or so, we can be back to covering cash flow on it if we meet the projections and so forth you put forward, correct?
Correct. And we have enough cash reserves right now
To do it.
to cover anything that's in there right now.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody on this, on these minutes before we make a motion on them?
Yeah, I've got a comment, everyone. Kevin, the deficit that you ran was primarily a result of exceptions because of all the repairs or atypical
Right.
amount of repairs. So I want to go on the record as making sure our community members understand that.
I would say it differently. This year was a lot of deficits for repairs, but we got the money for safer, and we also got money from CARES Act, and we got money from, well, I guess that's primary CARES, and then we got money for the hazard pay for the guys. So have money left over this year, and we didn't use our whole budget, so we have money left over this year. The deficit for next year is not taking into account those repairs. Obviously, those are coming out of this year's budget. And it was a lot more than what we had projected. I projected $25,000 and we're at 45,000 already. So, but next year I have $25,000 in there again. But we spent a lot of money this year on doing some preventive maintenance that needed to be done, sending all the trucks through DOT inspections and things like that. Plus the ladder truck has been, we had a big problem with that where we're mixing water and oil. They have that repaired. We have driven it, but it had an exhaust leak and we're waiting on a gasket to show up for that right now. But I mean, yeah, this was a very bad year for vehicle maintenance.
You
And,
know, surprisingly, I just comment that when we look back during the COVID height of the problem, I guess, everybody thought both townships and fire departments and everybody was gonna be spread super thin and go way over budget and be way under on revenue. But ironically, as bizarre as it seems, the COVID effect for the township's budget actually ended up being a little bit positive by the end. And the fire department actually came out very positive for last year because of the one-time dollars from COVID and the one-time dollars from the SAFER grant. But what he put together in the budget here for this year going forward is no longer assuming any of those. So it's imperative that we kind of stick to that budget and hopefully make it work by the end. But that's what we're going to be watching all the way through the year as we go through this.
we also took the hit for the 3.5 mils also. So we
Yeah.
dropped it to 3.5 mil.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, because we reduced the millage as we promised we would when we originally did. Okay, any other questions or comments on the minutes before we make a motion? If not, somebody want to make a motion to approve them as submitted?
I'll motion to approve the February 22nd Fire Board Budget Workshop minutes as presented.
Is there a second to that?
I'll
I'll
second.
second that.
I'm not sure. Is that you?
Pick-
Ian?
Pick one.
I saw your hand go up.
We all did. Thank you, Chief. I hate
Thank
to
you.
delay. Can we take a moment? We're having some technical trouble.
Okay.
So Bob, I need to talk to you for a minute.
Okay, let me just finish this, the accepting of the minutes, and then we'll do that, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so if there are no further questions or comments from the board, Janelle, can you take a roll call on accepting the minutes?
Musarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes,
Christopher.
Yes.
Okay, and with that, before we move to financials, we'll just take a brief few minutes break here. And we'll be right back if anybody else is on.
Mute yourself if you can.
Do I need to mute that here?
Bob, you're muted.
We have to.
That's
So,
just the way it has to be.
I'll let you
Bob
know.
needs to unmute. Oh, they're working on something. Sorry, Rebecca.
No worries.
We'll go quick.
Yeah, I have a hard stop at 7:30 because I'm jumping on another call. So hopefully we
Oh.
can.
Let's then take her presentation next.
Okay, are we all
I don't
back?
think that's a problem. Does anybody have a problem with taking?
No, go. Is
Okay,
my audio on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
so I'm gonna go ahead.
Your introduction, we'll skip down to presentation and then we'll come back to financials.
So I'd like to introduce Rebecca Zatella. I hope I didn't
You did it.
bother
Thank
that
you.
too badly. Rebecca's with the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, and she's going to give a brief presentation on the redistricting and how it's gonna happen. So go ahead, Rebecca. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Hold on. Let me share my screen here. And thank you very much for being accommodating and bumping me up a little bit in your queue. I appreciate that. All right, so let's do this from the beginning.
Got it.
There we go. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, I wanted to introduce myself, Rebecca Zatella from the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. I reside in Canton, Michigan. I wanted to start out by recognizing Supervisor DePalma and the Groveland Township Board for providing me with the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I also wanted to thank Patty for organizing this and coordinating my presentation. I do appreciate that as well. So this is going to be a pretty quick presentation. It's only a couple of slides, but just to give you the history in case you are not aware, in 2018, the Michigan voters passed Proposal 2, which was a ballot initiative for voters and not legislators to take responsibility for nonpartisan redistricting. And they created the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, which is the MICRC. It is composed of 13 randomly selected Michigan residents, and it includes 4 Democrats, 5 independents, and 4 Republicans. The MICRC is responsible for redistricting the U.S. Congressional, Michigan House, and Michigan Senate districts. Before we are allowed to draft any plan, we are required to hold at least 10 public hearings throughout the state of Michigan. We are in the process of working on where those meetings are going to be at, and hopefully we'll have that approved this week as to the locations of those meetings. The purpose for the public hearings is to, number 1, inform the public about the redistricting process. Number 2, to share the purpose and the responsibilities of the commission. And number 3, most importantly, we want to solicit information from the public about potential redistricting for the various districts that we're going to be working on. We are welcoming everybody's ideas, and we are hoping that the Groveland Township Board can put out the word to your citizens to let them know that we are seeking public feedback, whether it be via meetings or whether it be via the email that we have on here. We also have a web page with the State Secretary of State where people can submit comments. And so we are actively looking for people to submit comments about how they want lines drawn in their particular communities, and where those lines should be based on their interests in their communities. So that's pretty much all I have to tell you. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I have a few more minutes. I'd love to answer your questions if you have any.
Rebecca, are you okay if we were to post this slide presentation on our Facebook and our website?
Absolutely. I would love you to do that.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question for you, Rebecca.
Mhm.
So are you one of the 13 people, or were you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm one of the 13 lucky people.
Okay. So what possessed you to decide to go ahead and apply for that?
So I had a friend who was actively involved in circulating the petition. So that was how I first became aware of it. And as a result of that, I had the awareness that they were actually seeking people to apply. So I did apply. I'm an attorney. I have a finance background. I feel like I have the time and the interest and the ability to be able to devote my time to focus on this and make sure that we get fair and independent maps. I think that's something that's very important. I think that people have become disillusioned with the election process, unfortunately, in this country. And I'm hoping that if we have some fair, neutral maps, that might restore people's faith in the process a little bit.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I appreciate what you are doing. We all do. It's, I think it's important work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to our video conference today. Sorry they take so long this way.
Oh, no. Thank you very much for having me. And Patty, I will send you those slides so that you have them. I would love it if you would throw them out on your website, because we really are interested in what people have to say. And the more people who know about our commission, the more feedback we're going to get.
Okay, we'll do that. And thank you for giving the presentation. It was
Okay.
very nice and you're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a great night.
You
Thank
too. Bye.
Okay, that was nice, good. Next, we'll go back to the financials now. The first item on the financials is budget amendments. Patty, you want to take that?
Yes, can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a few, it's pretty much just housekeeping as we're coming up on the end of the fiscal year. So I'm gonna go through these fairly quickly. So in the township, we need to do a few budget amendments. So from the capital outlay reserve, I would like to move a total of $8,150. Or actually, I'm motioning to move a total of $8,150. $1,000 into trustee salary, 101-101-702-000. $150 into the deputy supervisor position, 101-171-703-000. $4,500 into the HRA, which that general ledger number is 101-263-702-075. $1,500 into the social security taxes, 101-263-715-000. And $1,000 into the utilities street lighting, 101-448-920-000. And those add up to $8,150. So my motion is to approve the township budgets, budget amendments in the amount of $8,150 to come from capital outlay reserve and to go into the other accounts I have listed in the amount of $8,150.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, could you take a roll call on it?
DePalma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Mills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes. And I have a few for township or for the fire budget amendments. This is in the total of $95,000 to come from grants, 206-000-681-000. And $83,000 to go into the volunteer payroll, 206-338-703-206. $12,000 to go into the capital outlay reserve, 206-901-975-000. And then to take, that equals $95,000. And then also to take from office supplies, 206-289-726-000, $1,250, and to put into audit and legal, $200, 206-223-801-000, $1,050 into the telephone, 206-284-850-000. That also 1,250 coming from office supplies, 1,250 going into the audit, legal, and telephone for a total of $1,250. So that's my motion, to move $95,000 from grants into volunteer payroll and capital outlay reserve, and to move $1,250 from office supplies into audit and legal 200, telephone 1,050.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, Julian seconded it. Any questions or comments from the board? Pardon me?
No.
No? Okay. Janelle, could you take a roll call?
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes,
Christopher,
Yes,
Cosarelli,
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes. Okay. Next item, accounts payable. Patty, do you want to cover that?
Yep. Let me find my sheet here. And the accounts payables for the township, the accounts payables for this month were $34,593.33. And for fire, the total amount was $25,844.06. My motion is to accept the accounts payable as presented.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
By Teresa, okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, Janelle, please take a roll call.
Bills,
Yes,
Christopher,
yes,
Cosarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Back.
Yes.
Okay. And then last, Patty, is the financial reports for general fund of the building. Is there anything you want on that?
The revenue and expenditure report, I'm going to motion that we accept as presented with the budget amendments that we approved earlier.
Is there a second to that?
Yes.
Okay, we're not actually approving any additional money. We haven't already approved, so let's just do it by a roll call vote. Janelle?
Christopher,
yes,
Cosarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills.
yes.
Okay. And the next item is investment report. Teresa?
Oh, the financial reports. I'm sorry, the investment report. I'm sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself here. So the investment report, you can see, has 4 months on it now. And I like this because you can just see, you know, what things are changing. And what things are pretty much staying the same, so. Everything's pretty much balanced and I don't, you know, there's nothing really changing here.
No real significant changes. It's pretty-
No,
Okay, I like this new format, having 4 months at a glance is much better. We can see if things are going out of whack or not. And this clearly shows things are staying on track very well.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So, with that, we're not actually approving the money, I guess. Can we make a motion to approve the investment reports as submitted? Second to that,
I'll support.
Patty supported, okay, let's just do it by, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Very nice, Teresa. I too like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, thank you, Teresa. This is
Very-
awesome.
Easy
you're
to
welcome.
read. Follow.
Now we get to the next item is public hearings. And.
But wait, Bob, before we open the public hearing,
yes,
we want to do resolution for the adopting the investment policy amendment.
I was gonna do that next.
Okay,
Okay, so the first item under here is A, discuss adopting the investment policy. And Teresa, that's first, you want to cover that?
Sure. So the investment policy basically takes into account, well, it goes with the general appropriations bill here, or the General Appropriations Act. I looked to see, that it made sure that everything in there about safety, liquidity, and availability to earn interest were all in there, and they are, noted in the Appropriations Act. So this particular resolution just basically is changing the names of the people at the top to reflect who's on the board now. And it's also removing 3 of the banks that we are no longer using. So Fifth Third and TCF National Bank were taken off, and Waterford Bank we are going to remove as well, because I just moved what we had there over to Oakland County's LGIP. Waterford Bank was only giving 0.05%, and Oakland County LGIP this past month gave 0.8%. So it was a difference of a couple $100 in interest, which is at least $2,500 a year minimum, even if they stay at those types of rates. So the banks just cannot compete with that right now. And at one point, perhaps it was a good spot to leave it, but currently it is not. And I don't feel it's a good financial, fiscally responsible choice to leave the money sitting there when it could be earning a lot more interest. So we're going to remove Waterford Bank as well. Even though it's on here right now. Patty and I talked about that earlier, and she said, it's not a problem to take it off. So I don't know if I have to ask you guys if you have any questions, but I'll make a motion.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to update the investment policy to remove TCF, Fifth Third, and Waterford banks, and change the treasurer name and other names to reflect the current board.
I'll support.
Okay, by Patty. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have one, Teresa.
Yeah.
The local government investment pool, so the LGIP, it's insured just like some other fund would be from the FDIC or whoever.
Oh, that is a great question. No, it has its own set of rules, but I have talked to other treasurers and some financial people, and also our auditor. And Oakland County LGIP has been providing this service for quite some time. I know I've gone back into some of the old records and have seen that we've been with them for several years. I would have to dig further to know exactly how many, but I'm sure it's more than 5. And they have people from all over the county who have lots more money than what we have there. Oxford Township, for instance, really only deals with Oakland County LGIP and 2 other banks. That's it. So our auditor, Ken Palka, said, if something happens in Oakland County folds, we've got bigger problems than, it would be a huge problem for us. But I'm just saying, our auditor was perfectly comfortable with this decision, and we've got enough of our money in other types of investments that some of them are, what's it called, FDIC insured, some of them are not. But the Oakland County LGIP is still only holding a small portion of our money right now. So I'd like to increase that, but I'm not going to do that without making sure that it's completely 100%, safe. But Waterford Bank was just.
And then when you use the Oakland County fund, we don't have to commit to a certain length of time.
Nope, it's very liquid. You can put it in one day and take it out the
They're
next.
likely to go up with what's happening in the bond market right now, over time. I mean,
Well, at Oakland County LGIP, I don't know that I gave you guys the detailed, like all 37 of the accounts that we have all our money spread out in. But Oakland County LGIP right now is offering the highest, other than one of the CDs at one of the credit unions that we're locked into at 1.75%. And when that one's over, it'll go down to 0.65 like the other ones are at. So it's by far the best place right now to be putting any money. So I'd like to put a lot of the fire department's money over there, and then they can earn a lot more interest than what they're earning at the moment. But that's something I can chat with chief about or the auditor at a later date.
Okay.
Thanks, Teresa.
Mhm.
Do you want a motion to approve this resolution then, Teresa?
Yeah, I did make that motion.
Okay.
I supported it.
Patty supported. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
The only other thing in the resolution, it does talk about the basic HR compliance and technology, the management company. And I really would like to know that we're in a much better place than we have been with them as far as getting things done in a more timely manner before we commit to that kind of money to pay them for a job that Patty seems to be doing half of.
Is that on the,
Page 6.
oh, that's in the general appropriations.
That's not on this.
That's on the resolution adopting investment policy.
Yeah, but there's only
Is
one.
that,
Okay,
That's only the one
That's
page.
just a one page. Okay, okay,
so,
okay. Sorry. Okay,
Yes. The other document is the Appropriations Act that you're
okay,
speaking
okay.
of.
Then no questions on that.
So if there are no further questions, there's no real money moving here. Let's just all do it by acclamation. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, you're covered, Teresa.
thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to
Now we
open
can.
up the public hearing at 7:41. In the public hearing, we'll be dealing with the Appropriations Act for 2021 and 2022, and also discussing the proposed budget for 2021 and 2022. I'll kind of go over the highlights of what happened if I can. Take some comments from the board, and then we'll open it to public comment before we close. First of all, if you look at it, it basically says that we're going to renew the township millage this year at what we billed it in last December, which is 0.9557. And we're going to renew the fire department millage at what we did it in December, 3.5 mils. And it gives you some dollar amounts that's expected to generate. The various cost centers are listed on this like they are every year. Bill payment is mentioned, the investment policy and the various resolutions. This is all kind of boilerplate that's pretty much done every year, as well as the investment scope projects. It talks about how we try to protect the money. For those of you who don't know, townships are pretty limited to do things that are extremely safe with very low risk. I just know from years gone by, at one time, Clarksville had invested money in some kind of derivatives and lost a boatload of money. And it was real embarrassing to them back then. We don't do any of that. Most of these other sections in here are fairly self-explanatory about various items. It talks about the salaries for the various people, the elected officials, as well as the support staff are listed in there. For those of you who didn't sit in on the call, we did a 3% raise for everybody on the board. All of the staff and all of the fire department got the same 3% raise. That's generally what we've done pretty much almost every year. And the deputy clerk, treasurer, and supervisors are the $50 per month stipend. The other change that's significant in here is that we are taking Janelle's position from part-time and April 1, making it full-time, because we're having a huge influx in the building department activity, and Danielle's getting buried. And the good thing about that is, well, there's two good things. Ultimately, the tax base goes up. And besides getting Janelle here all day, she's going to be helping Danielle, and her increased cost for the rest of the job to go to full-time really comes out of the building permits and stuff that goes through the building department. So it's not, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, increased cost to the township. It pays for itself. The pays are listed for the various positions. The supervisors, 3% takes it to 69,410. The clerks takes it to 64,875. The treasurer, 64,875. And the trustee per diem is raised to 231 per meeting. It talks further about the dollars that are in some of the various funds and some of the various projects that we're going to be talking about going forward for the year. These were covered to some extent earlier when we talked about the financial report that Teresa puts together for us every month that shows month by month what's happening to the roughly $7.5 million that the township owns. Trying to think what else we need to cover here. I think,
There was one, begin the development of the township property.
Yeah.
In the
thank you.
Appropriations Act, it's written Dixie and I-75. That will be corrected to Grange Hall in
Yeah.
I-75.
Thank you. I forgot that, Patty.
It's okay.
So I think that's the bulk of what's in here for, if you're having a hard time sleeping, you can get the copy and read it all. But that's what took us about 4 hours to hammer out. I think that covers most of the items that were in here and the various public notices on it. Are there any questions or comments on what's in that package today from the board?
Just what I stated earlier about staying on top of the HR company. I know that we can probably change that at any time. The
Yeah.
budget has to be the budget, but it really, right, you know, the last I heard, which was not that long ago, there needed to be some, somebody brought to task.
Yeah.
Yes.
Patty and I just found out today with an issue that came up on mine that the gal we had been given to work with is no longer there. I had to guess she was just at her wit's end with the problems they've had. So Patty and I are going to try and get involved in that tomorrow morning, see what we can find out. And you're right, we might have to change it. It's just doing it midstream might be very difficult, but we'll see if we can work it out with them first.
Okay.
Any other questions? At this point in time,
I didn't catch
is
that.
there anyone in the audience that wants to say anything? I see you're on the call, Ken. Is there anything you wanted to ask? Can somebody unmute Ken? Carpenter's mic?
Ken Carpenter.
You would have to.
Ken, can you unmute your mic if you want to say anything? Ken?
You
Ken?
fell asleep.
No,
You fell asleep,
I
Ken.
don't know if it's Ken or Gail there, really, do we?
Probably.
Okay, well, Ken, just in case you're for some reason having mic difficulty, if there are any questions you have, don't hesitate to call us.
Just call, yeah.
I'll clear them up for you.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Because, you know, I'm me, right? So I'm gonna be voting on this and obviously I think that, you know, a vote is one word, yes or no, and it doesn't really convey what dialogue we had. This was being my first time through this whole process. I want to say it was very, it was enlightening for me. I had concerns and I was able to voice those concerns. And we were able to respectfully have dialogue with one another. We discussed the concerns and I feel like, you know, yes, it was recorded and there's a 4-hour-long video that people can watch, but for the sake of transparency, I'm just gonna like boil it down to 1 minute. Because my struggle was with 3 things, basically: the COVID shutdown, past practices, and accountability to residents, right? And so, Bob, you went over our revenue, and like Gina said, that pie graph was phenomenal. I thought that did, like, I really came into that meeting thinking, I'm really struggling with a 3% raise. But after seeing that pie graph and looking at only 21% of what we operate on is coming from the residents in the form of a millage, and over 79% comes from our projects and state revenue, and our projects are going to go nowhere but up, especially with some of the things you've got in the hopper right now. We didn't get the shortfalls that everybody predicted. We rather got more because of all the online sales. And so once I did some calculations of what that raise would cost, the 3% across the board was really only approximately $10,000 or $11,000 for the actual raise, the payroll costs, like, you know, the township's portion of payroll cost on that, and pension obligation. We were able to put together a budget that still expected to see about $70,000 in surplus, including giving people a raise. And so, I mean, I felt much more comfortable after that, but I really looked back at past board practices and, I looked at all the minutes for the last 15 years. And I noticed that every single time there was a raise proposed, and there was not a raise proposed every year, but every time there was, every single person that was either elected or appointed, and it didn't matter how long they had been in office, 2 weeks, 2 years, whatever, they all voted yes on it. So that told me clearly that the salary is for the position and not for the longevity of the person holding the position. But also, I couldn't help but conclude that the board really only asks for a salary increase when they know that it can be afforded and supported. For everybody to be in unison and say, yes, we agree to it, tells me that they're not asking for raises when they cannot be supported. And when they are able to be supported, everybody can support them unanimously. So these are things that went through my head and were all part of what we processed in that budget meeting. We kept that millage rate low. It's not costing extra money out of the residents' pockets, which I personally have a wonderful confidence being able to speak to the people in the public and say to them, yep, we chose to do this. Fire department, township, as long as our budgets can support it, this is what we've done. So I just wanted to add that as part of my dialogue for this Appropriations Act.
Thank you,
For what
Teresa.
it's worth.
Nice view for the newest member on the board. Thank you. There any other questions or comments from anybody on the board? And we don't think we have any from the audience. If you do, call tomorrow, we'll answer them for you, okay? With that, I guess we should close the public meeting at.
Wait, Bob,
What?
don't you want to go over like the actual budget real quick?
I'm
There are a
sorry.
couple
Uh,
budget that's in the packet,
Let me find out where I put it now.
2021, 2022 budget is exactly what the board had discussed in the
Oh.
workshop.
Yes,
Right.
the only change we made was
Right.
because the fire department is drawing some of the reserve out to cover the small shortfall they're anticipating. We added that withdrawal from the reserve account to make the balance budget at the end, which you have to do. It's kind of like the same thing we did where we took about 245,000 out of our infrastructure fund to pay for the Barron Road project so that the budget income and outflow matches at the end. Hattie, I'm feeling a loss here. I'm sorry. Help me.
Oh,
Yeah.
so what, the only difference on any figures is in 206, which is fire, where Kevin had questioned transferring in 38,688 to make the budget balance from his reserve funds, his money he has.
Yeah, the total funds for I'm on page 8 now, if I'm on the right page, Patty.
No, I was looking at these, Bob, the green.
But yeah, the green.
Oh.
You have the green and white?
I'm just looking here. I don't have it.
Well, maybe when you looked at it.
Patty, can you run through the numbers since I don't have mine in front of me here?
Yeah.
I apologize.
So, as you mentioned in the Appropriations Act, when you were explaining, the budget was not total in balance. And the total was off by $38,688. So Kevin asked for a transfer in from his monies set aside. So that's the only difference. All the other figures are the same. And he has, yes, and he has that money there.
Yes, yes.
Are you following me, Kevin? Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day.
Yes, and then that makes it, that balances it.
The
That
total
brings it to
budget-
zero, Bob.
Right,
What, Kevin?
It brings it to zero. That just balances it.
right.
The total budget for the townships, 1,492,950.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me get here, the fire department, total budget is 1,179,143.
Yep.
And the building department, I think, was 105, if I remember correctly.
Yep, 105,500.
Right. So, all of these sheets are public record. Once we approve it, it's available if anybody wants a copy of it.
You just have to come in and we'll be glad to get it for you.
Is there anything else you can think I missed, Patty?
No, I think that covers it.
All right, sorry, I didn't have those. Thank you, Janelle.
And the only thing we need to do is then make a motion, someone to approve the Appropriations Act. And then the same for the budget.
Budget. Wanna do that?
I will make a motion that we approve the General Appropriations Act for 2021, 2022 with the changes mentioned. Waterford Bank would be removed and the change of property at Grange Hall and I-75.
Is there a second to that?
I'll support.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any from the audience? Janelle, could you take a roll call on? This one's for a lot of money.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher.
Yes,
Okay, I think we need to do one separate for the raises too, don't we?
Nope, we did that.
The package is okay.
The resolutions last month.
Oh,
Actually, we should have closed the public hearing and then done the
Yes.
Appropriations Act.
Well, okay, if there are no further comments, I guess we'll close the public hearing at 8:56. I have.
8?
7.
Oh, I'm sorry, 7:56, yes. Okay, alrighty.
We need to,
Now do we
Approve
make a
budget.
motion? Do we make a motion now that the public hearing is closed? Or we already did that?
Well, I make a motion, we close the public hearing at 7:56. Is there a second to that?
I'll
I'll
support
second
it.
that.
Oh, go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, Teresa got it. And take a roll call on it, since we're getting on the sequence here.
All right, where do we go here? DePalma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Okay, well, we cruised through that pretty good, folks.
We need,
Unfinished business, the only thing I wanted to bring up here was I wanted to let you know, thank you, Chief Mason, because we used the fire station to drop off some of the items for the restaurants that were involved in that in our township. As you know, 3 of the 4 were involved in it. I just want to let you know that Tomas at Escamilla has made a point twice of once stopping me in the parking lot and again calling me today to say thank you for the help and assistance. So we wish all of the restaurants, we gave assistance to Escamilla, the Bottoms Up, and to River Rock. And they all got something. And with Chief Mason's help, we're pretty sure we actually got everything we ordered and finally got it to the right people. There was some confusion with the way it came out of the state, but I kind of cleared it up at the end of last week. So we think everybody got what they're supposed to.
Bob, don't
We
forget, we
wanna-
also helped Whiskey River.
Pardon me?
We also helped Whiskey River.
No, I offered, we didn't want
Oh,
anything.
they didn't want any?
They didn't want.
Oh, I thought you said 4 did, but it was just
No, no,
Bottoms Up.
We had 4, but 3 asked for something, the 4th one didn't want anything.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Mhm.
we need to approve the budget, the green stripe sheets, the actual numbers on there.
Oh,
We did the appropriations. We'll just need
we do
it.
that as a whole then, Patty, just the whole budget as
As-
submitted?
As
Yes, yes.
All right.
We've always done that in the past, so
Let's make a motion then to approve the budget as submitted on the file you have. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Janelle, take a roll call, please.
Back,
yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes,
Mazzarelli,
yes.
DePalma,
Yes. Okay, let's go to new business. First item on the agenda today is one that we talked a little bit about during the budgeting session, and that is the 2021 dust control program. for those of you who don't know, when we do the dust control program, we actually get together with the 4 adjacent townships because there are border roads in all the townships that are half in our township, half in the adjacent township. For example, Kyer Road is half in Springfield and half in Groveland. This comes up every year. We can pick 4 or 5, but because we coordinated with the other communities, we've been doing 5 for the last few years. And every year it's inevitable. Some people call and say they only want 4, others call and say they want the 5. I'm just telling you, if we don't do the same thing as the 4 adjacent communities, it's kind of a nightmare to try and get it done, because you can imagine the spray truck's not going to drive down one side of the road and not the other. And if he did, we would have calls from all the people on the opposite side of the road. So we can do it, but generally speaking, more people have asked for it for 5 than for 4. So we need to get back to the road commission with what we want to do this year. And in the past, what's happened is I send a letter telling them we're doing the entire township and we're doing it with 5 applications, but it's up to the board. What do you want to do?
If that's the question, I opt for 5.
Right.
I would too.
No, I agree.
Okay, well then,
An individual can opt out. They just have to well mark their area if they want to do that.
yeah, and I bet you'd be like hen's teeth trying to get it done. It's
Yeah.
so hard to do it. The references in there to the individuals are really for townships. Not all townships pay for their chloriding of
Right.
roads like we do. Some of them actually tell the resident, if you want chloriding, here's how much it costs. And if you look
Right.
at that information from our COC, it's quite a bit more expensive where they map, I'll do this house, not do that house, I'll do the house after it, because it's hard for them to keep track of it. And the fee that the resident pays is higher than what we pay per foot. And it's just harder to administer. You know, if you were to allow your road to be chlorided and the neighbors on both sides of you didn't do it, you're pretty much getting the dust anyway. So on ours, that's why we've done it in a blanket. It might not be perfect, but it's the best way to get it done and coordinated with the 4 adjacent townships. So the motion was, or maybe
For 5.
that we apply 5 applications instead of 4. Is there a second to that?
I'll support.
Is that?
Second, Patty,
Okay.
back.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Hey, Bob,
I'm
hey,
sorry.
Bob, Kevin,
Yeah,
I don't understand the point of not getting your done in front of your house. You gotta drive down the road anyway.
I would agree. I'm just saying, other townships don't do it the same way. It's kind of a hodgepodge. And it gets very hard to administer and it's more expensive. So we've always paid for all the dust out, or all the chloride out here. We get the dust. So, okay, a motion was made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? If not, Janelle, would you take a roll call?
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher,
Yes,
Misrelli,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Pat.
Yes.
All right, I will send the letter tomorrow for that. The next item on the agenda was to discuss some new equipment for the conference room that would facilitate the Zoom meetings, but we didn't get the information back. So Vinny, our cable guy, is going to coordinate that and put it on the next meeting. So I'm suggesting we table that until the next meeting. After that comes up, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but Jim Kelty, who's been a valued member of our planning commission, is moving from Groveland Township a bit north. He can't find the house he wanted here in the township, and many of you know, there's not a lot of property for sale, not a lot of homes for sale, and they move pretty quick. So we're sorry to see Jim go, because I think he's been a very good member for the planning commission, very logical, reasonable, and rational individual. I hate to see him go, but I'm letting you all know that he has resigned effective February the 28th. Excuse me. The
So
next-
is that your motion to accept
okay.
his resignation?
We can accept it, but he's gone.
I know.
So who wants to second the motion?
I'll
I
second.
will.
Oh,
Teresa?
go ahead, Teresa.
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And I really hate to see Jim go. The next item on the agenda is to appoint a new member for the planning commission. And I know over the last year, this gentleman's name has come up a few times, Jeff Benzine. And he is, I interviewed him the other day, last week. We had a very good discussion. I think I was here till 5 or 5:30, I don't know, something like that, talking to him. And he impressed me very much. He's an attorney. He's got an excellent background set of skills that would lend itself very well to understanding municipal issues and making good, solid decisions on what the law would allow and base it on some fact and law. And he had a very positive attitude. He wants to get involved in the township. And so I am recommending Jeff Benzine for the vacancy created by Jim Kelty in our planning commission. And,
I'll support.
okay, Patty, you support it? Are there any questions or comments from any of the board?
No.
If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I'll let them know. It's done. Number 2 on my agenda today. Next is to discuss a permit fee. God bless Danielle. She's been good at this, looking at some of our charges and determining where we're probably not getting the money we should for things like re-inspections and that. And so what she's suggesting for today's meeting is that when a permit fee is expired, there'd be a $25 admin fee for putting a new permit back in place of it when it expires. And frequently that requires another inspection. So based on that, I would like to make a motion that we amend our fee structure to charge $25 administrative fee for reissuing an expired permit.
Bob, I have a comment. I think that's too low. I will tell you, in the industry out there, it's anywhere between $50 and $100. I would opt for 50.
Okay.
What's the thought? She has also got some other fees, she's looking at, and we were gonna bring it back at the April meeting. What if we were to look into that and table this for now?
Sure.
Do them all,
I mean,
do them all
I
at
don't know.
once. Yeah.
That way we would have a chance to take a look. Jim, your suggestion was
$50.
50?
For a non-passed inspection, $50, and at least $50 if a permit has been allowed to lapse.
Yeah, because they're kind of an administrative pain in the neck for doing
Yeah.
it. Keep track of them. I agree with you. If
Painful.
that's what you typically see. We'll let Danielle know that tomorrow and see if we can add that in her recommendations for our
Yes.
next meeting.
With the other changes she has.
Okay, so we have agreed that we'll table this for next month. Okay. I'm sure she'll be happy to hear that.
Danielle will be our presenter next month.
Yes, she will.
She'll
She
love
will
that.
join us.
There's no getting away.
No, no.
Okay, the next item under new business is Danielle's, Patty, do you want to cover this? I think she's up for her step increase.
Yep, Danielle is, she's gonna be with us a year. She received her first $500 step increase in October, and she's due for this one, the next pay coming up. So I'd like to motion that we agree to give Danielle her second step increase of $500.
I'd like to just go on record that I probably deal with Danielle more than anybody because unfortunately for her, she's stuck outside my office. But I cannot say
Great job.
enough good thing about her work ethic, her attitude, and her ability to look out, not just for doing her job, but try and make sure the township's not coming up short on things like fees and that. We have generically, I would say, the absolute best composite team in place right now that I have ever seen in the 24 or even in the 42 years that I've been affiliated with the township. So, and Danielle's just absolutely top notch. We're lucky we got her. So I wholeheartedly second your motion, Patty.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, Danielle is doing a great job,
Okay, so.
as are the other girls too.
Absolutely.
We
Bob
just
was right.
team all the way around. Is there any other comments on it before we take a vote?
No.
If not, Janelle, could you take a vote on it?
Christopher,
Yes.
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
You know, I'm feeling guilty now, guys, because I told Noreen, I think tonight's meeting is gonna take forever. So she stayed home and we're cruising, so. Under resolutions, I have nothing. That moves us to miscellaneous reports, and Patty, do you want to cover the youth organizations?
Yeah, so, the Holly Area Youth Assistants, Tina Alvarero is their president, and she sent me over a quick synopsis of their March 4th, 2021 meeting. They have 31 new referrals were made to the Haya caseworker in February. All were by schools, all were elementary students, and all were for attendance issues. Working on a quarterly youth recognition program. The 2020 Haya annual report highlighting all that Haya did throughout the year will be sent out in mid-March. The parenting program, Love and Logic, is currently running online. 10 Holly families are participating with elementary and high school families represented. This program is provided free charge by Haya and is part of Haya's family education program. Camp Wonder in Howell will have overnight camping as well as other camp experiences this summer, and Little League is also a go for the spring. Haya is expecting an increase in skill building applications due to these programs opening as well as others. That's good to hear about the camp opening and the, even the baseball. So these kids, you know, they could get out and do some stuff. So that's for the Holly Area Youth Assistants, which I also want to say, if anybody's interested in representing the township and sitting on that board, if you call the office and ask for the clerk, I'll be glad to get you in touch with them, and we'd love to have you. So the next one is Brandon Groveland Youth Assistants. Their annual honor is usually in April, but again, due to the COVID, they're going to do it the way it went out last year, which was yard signs for those that were being honored. Certificates were all signed by various governmental agencies and such, and put in packets and then delivered to them, and a Facebook program showing them in action doing whatever they were being honored for. BGYA has a new website, bgya.org. It's very nice. I've gotten to go there and look. It's rather informational. They also have Love and Logic program going on right now, also with, I believe they told me 10 or 12 families. And they're looking at this becoming an annual event. So, because it's been so well attended to actually be a year-round program. So that's all I have for Holly, Groveland Youth Assistants. So that's it for now. That completes it.
Thank you. Jim, did you have anything you wanted to say for the Planning Commission?
No, nothing, Bob.
Okay. I would like to just mention that Jim and I had a very positive meeting today with a consulting and engineering firm about the township property, and we're just in the beginning stages, but it went exceptionally well. I think they understand what we're trying to do with that township property, and I say this guardedly. With our discussions with them, with the trip I'm setting up for Orion, and with the sewer meeting I have with the row engineer and Holly Township next Monday, I actually think all the bit pieces of what we're going to do are going to come together fairly closely here, and we'll be able to narrow down what our options are moving forward so that we have a good idea what we're going to end up doing with that property. Just so you know that the sewer meeting is supposed to be the one where the consulting firm is gonna tell us how this humongous sewer project that grew from 6 million to 110 and then down to 35 million is going to get paid without bankrupting Groveland and Holly Townships, because George and I have been consistently making it clear to them. They keep on saying, yeah, we got stuff we're working on, it's all looking real good. But if we pull this off, it will be something I think that I don't know anybody's ever done it. So I'm real interested to see what comes out of next Monday's meeting. And I think this, along with the kind of meeting we had today and what we're gonna have when we go to Orient, is gonna allow us to piecemeal together the nucleus of the idea of what we want the finished product to look like on the township's 100+ acres. Anything you want to add, Jim?
No, I mean, yeah, rather, it is exciting, and it would be wonderful if all of this fell into place. I'm an optimist, as just about everybody knows. And the thought of having this start to move forward as soon as, in part this year, creating revenue in a year or so is really exciting.
Yep. This is going to be a very busy summer after these next couple of meetings. Okay, Gina, is there anything for BZA?
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock?
Tomorrow. Okay, that's for the 40-acre
It is.
parcel, okay. And I told you about the sewer, that's all I really have to report right now. Patty, anything you want to do from clerk's office?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. One is I wanted to let everybody know that watches or is tuned in. April 1st is the Ortonville Cemetery cleanup. There is an article in the Citizen, this week's Citizen, and they're letting people know, because if you have anything sitting on those graves you'd like to keep, they're asking that you go out and remove them before they do the cleanup. There will be a dumpster there for the grave blankets and such. And they also stated that if there are things that left on there, they would not be thrown away, such as, I don't know, if you had an angel or something, as an example, there will be a spot for them that they will put them, and then you can go and claim them. So I wanted that to be
And
known.
that's the problem last year on that cleanup day.
Yes, it was a problem. OSAF is doing Easter donations. So if anybody would like to donate gift cards from Beaky's for the project, if you could contact Karen Milligan at 248-627-3965, ask for Karen. And if you would like any further information, I'd be happy to help you with that here if you want to call on to us. Summer jobs at Oakland County for kids 16 and older. Go to the Oakland County website, and this is a good opportunity to have a summer job for the summer. MTA is offering a scholarship. I will also run a few of these. You need to be a junior or a senior in college or doing your graduate program, and the part of the criteria is to be seeking a career in government. So I will print this out, or if you'd like to call, I'll see to it, we can email it to you. Drivers are still needed for the.
We're gonna open up for jobs they might want to apply for.
What's that? Where? At the.
One in New York and another one in California, I think.
Oh, okay. Drivers are still needed for the Meals on Wheels. So also, if you're interested in being a driver, contact myself and I'll see to it you get the information. And that's pretty much all I have for this month.
Thank you, Patty. That's quite a bit. Teresa, anything you wanted to add?
Yes, so right now, all 2020 tax payments are now payable at Oakland County, because our last day for accepting payments here in the office was March 1st. We are still accepting anything that has a postmark of March 1st, and we did actually get one today. So I'm hoping that we won't receive any more of this, coming up week, because we're in the process of running the reports and getting ourselves locked out and getting all the delinquent taxes down to Oakland County. So if taxpayers still are wanting to pay their taxes for 2020, they need to get a revised tax statement. That can be requested from calling the township office. Either Angela or I can get one for the resident, or you can call Oakland County Treasurer. They will also email a revised tax statement to anybody who requests it. We have had several people take advantage of the over-the-phone credit card payment method, so that's been well received. Today, the Board of Review has met, is currently still meeting, and it's meeting again on Wednesday. We met also last Tuesday, not me, but Board of Review met last Tuesday. So Board of Review is talked about on your annual notice of assessment. Appointments are made through the assessor's office. If you need any help with any of that, you can call the office and ask for the treasurer, and I'd be happy to guide you in that process. An update on Basic Institute, which is the end of April. So Basic Institute is offering an all virtual option this year, which I'm very excited about because I like to be home anyway. This requires no hotel stay, no travel, and saves the township, $350, which was allotted towards that. And also they're refunding participants $100 of the fee because there's no in-class option, but they still have presenters and stuff. I guess they're paying, I don't know. So it dropped the price down by $100. And so that was good news for me. Another thing, I want to increase our communication out there to the residents on our website, our Facebook page, the sign. I think we're doing a good job, but I think we just need to continue doing pushing the positive information out there to the residents and making sure that they know where to look for the information on our websites, things like that. And I still want to revisit the idea of an annual or semi-annual township or township/fire newsletter. Like really nice and professional looking, that goes out in a totally separate mailing, not part of a tax bill or anything like that. And we can talk more about that. But the last thing I want to say is that we're currently going to be working on the settlement process. My deputy Angela has been doing a fantastic job as my support staff, and neither she nor I have any questions or concerns. Things are going quite well, and I expect settlement to go quite smoothly, and I'll have an update on that hopefully next month.
Thank you. There's one other little comments I'd like to make, only because of a couple of little bits of information we've heard here and there. I just need to remind people that when we do a road project where we get federal grants, which is like the extension on Groveland Road, Oakwood, now Barron Road, those projects are done primarily with federal money, but the requirement is that they have to be done to federal standards, which are much higher than any of the other ones. So anybody that's wondering why some of those trees are getting taken down, it's because they have to meet the federal requirement. They're considered unsafe and hazards to potential life-threatening situations. So the road commission has to comply with the cutback on the roads when there's federal money involved. The feds only do the road if it's done the right way, so to speak. That's one of the things I wanted to mention. And again, for those of you who don't know, I have no idea where this story came from, but the road's not paved because Bob DePalma wants to drive on it. That road was chosen because it originally came to the board several years ago at the request of the homeowners president for the subdivision that's on Perryville Road near Barron. They asked to have it considered, and we had said we would make application to the Road Commission Surface Funding Committee that I'm on to try and get it paved from Perryville to Grange Hall Road. It was only later that they came back and said the Road Commission found some extra money up north that they got at a discount because a county up there didn't use it, and offered to do the whole road if we could come up with our match on it. the roads only get chosen for paving if they're primary roads. And at that time, the fire chief indicated that he would have, we looked at two roads, part of Wildwood or part of Barron. We picked Barron because the fire chief at the time said that's the main cut-through road to go from the south to the north side of the township. So anything you've heard other than that's somebody's fictitious idea, but not based in fact. That's the whole story on how the road got paved and why it even got chosen. So I just wanted to lay that out for anybody that's interested. With that, are there any other comments or public comments that anybody wants to make?
The road commission did come out. We had a really nice meeting last year for anybody who was interested on what was going to happen on the Barron Road project.
Yep.
And I did attend that, and I did not hear anybody with any negative comments. And I know from my own personal use of that road, when they do repave it, that soft side, if somebody's coming over the hill and you don't see them,
Yep.
both my
It's-
husband and one of the boys have rolled their cars on that thing. Yeah, so I'm kind of happy to see that being taken care of.
Okay, well, I have nothing else. If there's no further comments, I guess we can adjourn and reconvene for the fire board meeting. Chief Mason, we're all here and the meeting is yours.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending. For February, we ended up with 79 calls for the month, which is up from the last year. If you look on the sheet, you can see we were at 187 as of February 28th, which is 40 more than the prior year and 20 more than 2 years before that.
Yeah, January was a big month too, right?
January, we ended up with 108 calls for the month. So we're back on track, I think, for our 1,000 calls for the year. Last year, we ended up with about, I think it was 798 calls for the year. So I think we're back on track. People are out moving about again and getting hurt. So not that we like that business, but it's good business for us. We conducted ice rescue training last month and everybody had a good time at that. It doesn't sound like fun, but it actually is quite a bit of fun. We also have training every week, but that was a little bit different than normal. I'd like to recommend that we rehire David Platts. He's a firefighter EMT. He used to work for us when we were doing village calls. He actually is from the village. And he's currently got hired at Auburn Hills, but he's probably going to leave that job. So he wanted to have the option of working here in the village. And of course, we allow that. So I'd like a motion to rehire David Platts, firefighter EMT.
I'll motion to rehire David Platts, firefighter EMT, with his new application submitted and his background check and a new I-9 filled out, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, by Gina. Any other questions or comments? Not, Janelle, could you take a roll call?
Mazzarelli,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Back,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Christopher.
Yes.
Thank you. We swapped out, we had 3 iPads for doing the reports in the ambulances. We swapped them out. We got 2 Android iPads. They communicate with our LifePak 15, so we should be able to import the data from the LifePaks into the tablets. And another good feature is that the Androids have a built-in GPS. So the hospital the other day were able to watch us coming to the hospital. We also have loaded on this program called eBridge, where we can type in the call and send it straight to the hospital. We don't have to call them anymore. So that's like another method of communicating with the hospital, either phone, radio, or this eBridge now. And they have built-in phones into the tablets, just like the iPads did, but we eliminated one, so we'll be saving $35 a month for that.
It also tracks you on the way to the hospital, right?
Correct, yeah. And then the only other thing I had is Sergeant Adderholt and Sergeant Burdess have signed up for the fire instructor course in Springfield, and it starts at the end of May for 2 weeks. We're discussing, Sergeant Burdess is talking about taking the medic IC class also. That's about the same time. And then we're also looking at sending Sergeant Burdess and Sergeant Millar to the fire inspector's course. which would basically be the same stuff the fire marshal does, but obviously we'll keep Jerry as the fire marshal until he retires, and they can either supplement him or do some of the things that we need to do, like some of the pre-plans and things like that.
We've been keeping Jerry pretty busy on the ordinance stuff lately, so I'm just suggest, he might be happy to have the help.
Well, I don't want to have to jump through the hoops again to get another fire marshal in here when one quits and things like that too. So if we have a couple of options. Also, the IC helps us with teaching classes too, because you need an IC to teach a class. We have currently 2, and this will give us 2 more for fire, and 1 if Jeff takes the medic IC, they'll give us another medical IC. So we'll be looking pretty good then.
Okay.
Chief, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So just because, you know, I'm new, right? But fire instructor course, is there a cost to this? Is this something that your budget is paying for? Are these guys paying for it themselves?
It's a cost. I don't remember what the cost is, but we have it in professional development for right now.
Okay, and then the value of doing this, and I agree that they should, but what I thought I heard you say was they could then give training to your other firefighters once they
Correct.
become instructors?
It's also required, they said we're going to start in 2020, but with COVID, it all got delayed. For any officers to be promoted, you had to have this class. So we promoted those guys to sergeant last year
Okay,
and this year. And we want to make sure they have the classes necessary so they can move on.
okay, I think it's a very positive thing, and I totally support that. I just wanted to make sure I understood what other benefits there were to it.
Okay. Any other questions?
No?
My meeting was shorter than yours, Bob.
Okay, you win.
It was.
I think that's always true.
I think so too. If it's the other way around, something's going wrong.
Okay, thanks for the report. If there's nothing else, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second it.
seconded. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you, everybody. We did pretty good, an hour and a half today.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Right at 8:30.